So, Nancy Pelosi actually made some interesting comments about impeaching Trump. She said that she is not for impeaching Trump. Now, this may cause some problems within the Democratic Party because if you recall, the Democrats have been pretty avid about impeaching Trump. And in fact, a lot of Democrats have even ran on impeaching Trump or ran to maintain their incumbency on impeaching Trump. Now, I don't know if you all have known where I've fallen on this spectrum, but I am not for impeaching Trump, and I'll get into that because it actually coincides partially with what Nancy Pelosi says. And surprisingly enough, Nancy Pelosi is indeed correct. Now, we're going to give some context to her accuracy, but she is correct. Now, this was reported by the New York Times. The Speaker, Nancy Pelosi of California, who has played down talks of impeachment for months, ratcheted up her objections to trying to remove Trump from office in an interview published on Monday. She says, "I'm not for impeaching Trump." And she told this to the Washington Post. Impeachment is so divisive to the country that unless there's something so compelling and overwhelming and bipartisan, I don't think we should go down that path because it divides the country, she added, and he's just not worth it. Ms. Pelosi has repeatedly made her aversion to impeachment clear in the past, but her remarks to the Post were more expansive than previous ones and are likely to irk some liberal rank-and-file members of Ms. Pelosi's party, trying to build support for it. Her remarks echoed the long-standing position of the House Judiciary Committee Chairman, Representative Jared Nadler of New York, who has said he does not want to move forward with impeachment unless he has substantial Republican support. Now, this may just sound like Nancy Pelosi all of a sudden became, just insightful, forward thinking. It attempts to paint her as a speaker of unity, and it makes it seem like she actually finally understands politics and what politics looks like. But like the article said, she was never for impeachment. I do want to be clear about one thing. Impeachment would only hurt the Democrats. Nancy is aware of this. But also, Trump is a useful idiot. He is a useful tool. In Pelosi's mind, they just won back the House on running to beat Donald Trump. Granted, that's not what happened. Or else we wouldn't have people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Sorry on that. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib. Obviously, they tried to primary Tulsi Gabbard, didn't work. Even Ro Khanna, I like a lot of the things that he does. We obviously Bernie in the Senate, but my point is that that Trump is useful because although they say, impeachment would be too divisive, and it would, Trump himself is just as divisive, but it's made people want to rally behind getting him out of office. If there is an establishment candidate who has a chance to win, their only chance would indeed be to beat Donald Trump, because anyone on the Republican Party more moderate than Donald Trump may not actually be able to be the Democrats may not be able to beat them, because the whole thing is accept whatever trash Democrat that you have thrown at you, ignore the fact that there was likely some cheating going on, and because Trump is so much worse. But if Trump isn't the one in office, say it's Pence, not Pence. Say it's Rand Paul even. Rand Paul isn't horrible as far as Republicans go. I guess he would be like one of the ones that I would be kind of okay with because he doesn't always vote down party lines and he doesn't warmonger. And he doesn't race bait either, like Donald Trump has been known to do. He doesn't use racial dog whistles like Donald Trump has been known to do. So I don't think that the Democrats could beat Rand Paul, and Rand Paul could potentially rally the libertarian base to beat whoever the establishment Democrat. So the Democrats are aware of this. Nancy Pelosi and the party leadership is aware of this. They perfectly understand that, ironically enough, Donald Trump has the best chance to beat them, but Donald Trump also is their best chance to win because the establishment Democrats simply don't have it going for them right now. Now, I also don't want you to think this is some type of aberration like this, that Nancy Pelosi is speaking from her experience and all that experience has brought her to a point where she finally understands how politics work. Because it's not. So the truth of the matter is, and I've been saying this for months, as soon as The Hill allows me to go back to my article without showing me ads for St. Patrick's Day, yes, I will probably be drunk on St. Patrick's Day also, but you don't have to remind me of that while I'm in the middle of a video. Anyway, so The Hill reported something that was probably taken into account because it was reported last week around the same time Nancy Pelosi did this interview. And this is something that I've been saying for literally years now. There's an idea that circles and reverberates around the Democratic Party and the Democratic establishment and some neoliberal lights who only pay attention to politics whenever Nancy Pelosi is quote unquote sarcastically clapping, even though she was not. They like to pay attention to the pop culture references about the establishment, but they don't want to hear the truth. The truth of the matter is Donald Trump is not doing as bad in the approval ratings as people would like to think he is. And that's just a fact. Now, there were articles and polls that were coming out that were being misleading, but I had a source in Washington tell me that the real polls that the Democrats were conducting, they were also not releasing because the polls would be so damning that it would appear that their strategy of just demonizing Trump was not working because it was not. Now, they eventually did release those polls right before the election took place in 2018 because they realized, okay, we can't keep faking the funk. We have to tell people how real the threat of Donald Trump's approval rating is. Otherwise, people may just stay at home. Now, this Hill article in the poll, I believe it's from Gallup, echoes the same thing I've been saying for the last 2 years. Trump is still, like it or not, wildly popular. And the Hill article says, quote unquote, as the economy raises, quote unquote, raises. I want to be very clear about that. GDP does not equal a better economy. Democrats must raise other issues. Recent polling shows Trump's increasing benefit from an impressively strong economy. Not that strong, but we'll continue. It also explains why Democrats are increasingly in need of a distraction from it. As history shows, if America remains focused on Trump's economic success, they will reelect him next year. And it's true. His base will reelect him next year if they think the economy is growing. On March 5th, Gallup released America's latest ratings of Trump by the issue. Trump's rating on the economy still top strength, and it hits new high. 56% approved of the president's handling of the economy, and his 54% approval rating of unemployment also matched it. His economic rating is up 8 points February 2017, and his economic rating is up 8 points from February 2017 and 5 points from February 2018. Having polled presidents and the economy since Reagan, Trump is well ahead of the average rating of 43%. Gallup notes Trump approval rating on the economy has not fallen below 45% throughout his entire presidency. So what we're seeing is that Trump is actually suffering, or I won't say suffering, we're suffering, but he's benefiting from the same type of psyche, in my opinion, that Obama benefited from. Obama dealt hope and change to the crowd, and he became wildly popular because of it. Also, his identity, although he did not play on his identity as much as most people would have expected him to, or some people would have even liked him to. His identity is a big reason he won the election with 99% of the black vote in the general election, or 98%, some crazy like that, and 90% of the black vote in the primary. His identity is a lot of the reason he won. Obama was not really good for the economy, although it looked like he was. because of the GDP, because of Wall Street, despite the fact that most of Wall Street is owned by 1% of America, or most of the shares at Wall Street. Trump absolutely played to identity. I don't think anybody has any disillusions about that. And if you do, you're silly. I'm just saying, you can like it or not. But Trump played to identity. He also dealt hope and change through his moniker, what? Make America Great Again. Who else dealt hope and change in that same way? Who played to identity? Ronald Reagan, who, by the way, fiercely campaigned for Barry Goldwater, the guy who was trying to bring segregation back. So, yeah, he's benefiting despite the fact, once again, the GDP looks okay. It looks good. GDP doesn't mean shit when it comes to income inequality. And income inequality is worse than it's ever been. Unemployment numbers are a facade. If you're a Trump supporter, you can't say, oh, look at our unemployment numbers now. But whenever Obama was talking about it, you were like, oh, the numbers are cooked up. Yeah, the numbers are cooked up then and they're cooked up now. It didn't change anything. Trump's whole administration is establishment. It's not the numbers. The truth of the matter is, when it comes to Trump supporters, when it comes to his popularity, I want to be very clear about this, because it's the same thing I say about Obama support. Sometimes facts don't matter until they hit home. And that is why you have to go to where those supporters are rather than waging illegitimate impeachment wars. Because the truth of the matter is, the only way you'd be able to get Trump out of office through impeachment would be through the emolument clause. What the emolument clause says is that if he's using his presidency or his office to personally and financially benefit, like directly, then you can impeach him. The problem with that is almost every single congressperson and senator would be out of office if that was the how they want, because you can impeach congressional members and senators as well. So they would be out of office also, and they're aware of that. So you have to go to where the people are, like Bernie Sanders does, like Tulsi Gabbard does. You got to knock on every door, like AOC did. You have to speak power or truth to power about all the issues, especially the issues that have traditionally affected people who look like you, like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib does. That's how you win. You tell the truth. You don't have to bicker back and forth. You tell the truth. You go speak to people's real experiences. Now, the last reason that I don't believe Nancy Pelosi is saying anything profound, it isn't like it took a lot of effort to figure out whether or not it would be smart to even flirt with the idea of impeaching Trump. They just don't have the numbers. They just don't have them. They don't have the numbers. House Democrats could impeach Trump. They could. But impeachment merely means an investigation. But the Senate isn't even under Democratic control. And even if it was, it would require a 2/3 vote. That's a supermajority. And if they don't have that, you just divided the country up probably for the next 2 years. You just galvanized Trump's base. And you definitely secured you didn't only secure a vote for Trump, like a victory for Trump, but you also probably secured another loss for the House Democrats who would probably lose their majority because you were playing political games when you should have been running for office, running the right way, running on progressive issues, running on Medicare for all, running on election justice, running on anti-regime change, anti-war, running on the Green New Deal. You could have won by doing that, but instead you could lose by playing political games. And I think that Nancy Pelosi can do math. She's not an idiot. She was smart enough to finesse the country out of $120 million in personal net worth. So I'm sure she knows how to at least not make stupid and obvious mistakes. So overall, I am happy that as Speaker of the House, she's not going to advocate for such an extreme measure based off of, once again, it's based off of essentially I don't want to say it's based off of nothing, because the emolument clause should be adhered to more often. And if it was adhered to more often, not only would we be able to get Trump out, but we'd be able to get everybody from the top down out, including a lot of these congressmen and senators, or congresspeople and senators from both sides, the Republicans and the Democrats. But it won't be taken into consideration. It won't be taken seriously. And so that's why I'm glad she's not. There's nothing else. The Russia collusion thing didn't happen, remember? According to the Senate, or excuse me, according to the Democrats and the Republicans, it didn't happen. So there's nothing else. You can't impeach him for being brash and brazen and rude. You can't, unfortunately, or else Lyndon B. Johnson would have been out. Richard Nixon would have been out much earlier. Ronald Reagan would have been out. Who else? Oh, who's that idiot? Oh, man, the guy who started the Cold War. Truman would have been out. I mean, the list really does go on. You can't impeach somebody for being a brazen idiot. It's unfortunate, but it's but it's true. You know how you beat them? You stop them from getting in office to begin with by running on the correct policies and let the best man or woman win. Thank you for watching that segment of Mi Casa es Su Casa. Help us reach our goal of 500 patrons. You can do so by donating as little as $1 by clicking on the Patreon link in the description below. Don't forget, join us on Roku and JustNForm. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook as well. And remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.